Hello, Prateek. I welcome you on behalf of LegalEdge After College, and thank you for sparing your time and sharing your views with the LegalEdge After College viewers. So first, I want to know that when you started preparing for CLAT PG, like 2022.
Uh, Good afternoon, ma'am. Uh, Ma'am, I started preparing for CLAT PG in the late of April. So my total preparation was of roughly 1.5 to 2 months. So, and I believe that not more than 2 months is required in order to clear CLAT PG. So I believe that is sufficient amount of time, 2 months.
So let me tell you, Prateek secured AIR 7 CLAT PG 2022. Okay. So any specific thing you have done for case laws? Because this is the most often asked question, that how to prepare case laws for CLAT PG examination.
Ma'am, I have a twofold answer for this. Number one, case laws are overrated. If you look at the examination, 120 out of 120 questions, I don't believe there are more than 50-60 questions from case laws. 60 questions are going to be from the provisions or from jurisprudence. So I believe that in order to handle case laws, you can do two things. Number one, get a good test series, give tests, because in every test series you are going to get more than one opportunity to give a test. So give those tests, find the questions on the cases, and then read those cases only which are there in that test series. So attempt 10 to 12 mocks, you will get 40 to 50 decent cases. And after reading those 40-50 cases along with the provisions, and then prepare from any LLM guide, the jurisprudence part, the international law from any simple book. And in case you want a little bit of constitutional provisions, in case you prepare this much, I believe you are going to sufficiently clear the CLAT PG examination. Not much is required post this.
This is new. We are hearing that case laws are overrated, which I too believe is true, because हम इतना ज़्यादा फोकस केस लॉस पे कर देते हैं कि हम प्रोविजंस पे ध्यान नहीं देते हैं.
Yes, ma'am.
And whenever you read a case law, तुम्हें अगर प्रोविजन की कॉन्सेप्ट क्लैरिटी नहीं है, तो you won't be able to understand the case law as well. So first of all, like जैसे प्रतीक बता रहे हैं कि आपको अपने कॉन्सेप्ट पे क्लैरिटीज करनी चाहिए, राइट? सो आपने बेरिक्स पढ़े थे?
Yes, ma'am. Contracts in Indian Penal Code ki Bare Act is essential. Besides these two, you can read some important provisions from CRPC, not entirety of CRPC, the provisions relating to investigations, arrest, and most probably related to the FIR part only. That and maybe judgment writing. So very, very small, brief introductory parts of CRPC. And then besides these three acts, you can read constitutional provisions. And from constitution, I don't believe you need to read again the entirety. Just go with the major parts, part 3, part 4, and the emergency provisions, a little bit of the legislative relations, administrative relations. Not much is required. And as far as the other subjects are concerned, because I believe in case you can get from an LLM guide, you can read jurisprudence. That is going to be really, really helpful to you, because from jurisprudence questions do come, and most of the times which questions come, the answers can be found in the passages only. So that is one aspect where we are good with jurisprudence, but sometimes they ask the name of the thinkers. So in case you have a brief idea, you can tell that, okay, this thinker belongs to this school. So you can give a very, very well-reasoned guess. So that part is done. So don't ponder much upon the case laws, just focus on important cases which are there in the test series, because this is where the test series are most important. You need to do reverse learning. You cannot just look at the syllabus and then start learning. You do reverse learning. Just give the test, see how much you knew, how much you did not know, just learn the test. And this way you can clear for 70-80%, because at the end of the day, questions can be asked from anywhere. You cannot prepare for everything. The only good thing is that if your base is strong, you can give a well-informed guess, which may be required, because in this examination, what I found is that rather than accuracy, you also need at the same time high number of attempts. For example, in case your attempts are more than 110, even if your accuracy is a little off, even then you are going to get a good score. But in case you lower your attempts to, let's say, 100, even if your accuracy is, let's assume, 80%, you're not going to get a good score.
So here, students, the takeaway is broadly, if I'll conclude whatever you have spoken in the last 5 minutes is like you have to go with the selective learning. That's what you want to say. And the second, what second is that you should do the reverse learning. That you
Yes,
should
ma'am.
like attempt the test series and then see कि क्या आता है क्या नहीं आता है.
Yes, ma'am.
उसके according you should prepare. And third, which is very important, is the concept learning is important, and to attempt more and more questions. So you like
Yes,
in
ma'am.
CLAT PG, if you're thinking that you will attempt 70 questions, 80 questions, that is not going to help. That's what you want to say. Okay, great. This is really going to help students who are appearing in next CLAT PG examination. So Pratik, like आप जैसे आपने बताया कि आपने 2 महीने तैयारी की थी. So
Yes,
दो
ma'am.
महीने में क्या आपने कोई टाइम टेबल बनाया था, या like you devoted certain number of hours for certain subjects and all?
Ma'am, what I did was that I decided to give a mock every day. So I had two test series. So in total, I gave 35 mock tests. So giving a mock each day, and that took 35 days. And then from those mock tests, I was learning, doing the provisions. So I did not specifically decide I'm going to do this subject today, this subject today. So what I did was that from those tests, whatever I did not know or whatever I knew, I read on those aspects. And that is how I reverse learned for 35 days. Post that, what I did was I joined the YouTube lecture series of LegalEdge. So that was really helpful in family law, international law, jurisprudence. So these were the aspects that I covered from LegalEdge YouTube series. So that took me 5-6 days because there were 5 lectures per subject, about 1 hour each. So then these subjects were covered. So 40 days of this and then 20 days of revision. So, and within that revision, you need to give those tests which you have already given once again, so that you know that actually you have remembered everything. So this is how I went with the project.
So that leads to the next question: is legalized after college helped you or not?
Definitely, ma'am. As I said, the conceptual clarities of family law, jurisprudence, international law, these three specifically, and aspects of CRPC. These four I have covered strictly from LegalEdge, did not take any help, only LegalEdge. And
So much. And
besides that, the test series helped a lot because the cases in of because LegalEdge test series had loads of cases because they had 6 questions per passage. So that's why there were approximately 20 cases per uh, uh, test. So that was really helpful. And I want to say that 3-4 tests cases did come. So 24 marks directly from LegalEdge coming from their test series, and then we can go to the conceptual part. So in 50% credit directly goes to LegalEdge, and 50% goes to me doing LegalEdge.
thank you so much. I mean, these kind of results motivate us to bring more and more relevant and to the point content. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
so like as you got rank AIR 7, so you must be appearing in, like you must have filled many of the PSUs form. So what is your journey for PSUs? What's your like suggestions for the upcoming aspirants, that what rank they should secure to enter into a PSU via CLAT PG?
Ma'am, this is going to be a threefold answer. Number one, I believe that CLAT PG is not a very good channel to secure a PSU placement because the number of vacancies are extremely low and they vary from each year, each vary year to year. Like last year, they had 13 vacancies in total, but that was in only two PSUs, 7 plus 6, 7 Power Grid and 6 in NTPC. With regard to, I'm talking about only of the unreserved category. So, and then secondly, in 2020, if I'm not correct, it was only NHPC that was recruiting. In 2022, we have 4 recruiters, but the total number of vacancies is only 12 in unreserved category. And I must tell you that the issue here is not that 12 means 12 people are going to get, because there are 4 recruiters, the same number of people are going to get selected in every other PSU. And in case they join and then they leave after a little bit of time, that vacancy is going to be carried forward to the next year, it will not be given to the waitlisted candidate. So in order to assure a definite spot, you need to get a rank not more than rank 5, a definite. In case you want to be like you want to immaterialize the interview part, you need to get a top 5 rank. And secondly, it varies with every year because vacancies differ. But in order to clear it, you need a top 5 rank in order to be safe. A top 10 rank will give you an interview, but it will definitely not ensure you a job at the PSU. It's going to be a tough one. You may be lucky, you may get at rank 10 because there may be PSUs. Last year, rank 13 also got because there were 13 vacancies, but it may vary.
For whosoever is watching this interview right now, you have to, and you're going to appear in CLAT PG 2023 examination. Then in that case, you have to like work very hard to secure a PSU. So there was a myth that अगर आपका रैंक 10 तक आया है, रैंक 15 तक आया है, तब तो श्योर शॉट आपको PSU मिल जाएगा. बट एज प्रतीक एक्सप्लेन्ड, इट्स नॉट लाइक दैट. दिस इज अ मिथ. अगर आपको श्योर एकदम अपना सिक्योर करना है PSU, then you should have to get ranked under 5, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So one more question. This is on behalf of the many CLAT PG aspirants only. That what are the like best way to prepare international law, environmental law, industrial law, and commercial laws? Because these are the laws जो generally बच्चे पढ़ते नहीं हैं अपने undergraduates में. So what's your take on the same?
Ma'am, my take is that first of all, let's go with international law. International law, I believe only we need to clear the basics because they are not going to ask very difficult questions. Even this year, there were 2 passages from international law. One was from the Ukraine-Russia conflict, and the other was related to maritime law. And they were very simple questions. But sometimes there are questions like, for example, this time they asked a specific article from United Nations Convention on Law of Sea. So they may ask you a random question, which you may never know. So there is always a chance of uncertainty. So there is no need to go in depth because that uncertainty will never go. So clear your basics, every aspect. For example, definition of international law, maritime law basics, state nationality basics, you can say with regard to extradition, asylum, cover all these basic parts from any book, from any decent book, or from any YouTube web series. I covered from a YouTube web series. In case if you want to cover, you can cover from that. So that will be really helpful for in case you get a crash course material like I had. So that is more beneficial for international law. Insofar as commercial laws are concerned, I will say focus on Contract Act, specifically the general contract tax portion. Don't focus much on the special contracts part. Just focus on the basics of what is indemnity contract and what is standard contract. Just focus on the basics. Learn the provisions to section 73 of contracts. Rest of the contracts, I would say, again, is overrated. You may get a question from IBC or other things. You may not get a question. I believe this time we did not have a question from arbitration. So it may come, it may not come. We had lots of questions from contracts this year. Then the third thing is with regard to the industrial laws or the labor laws. Again, I believe you cannot go with industrial laws and labor laws because in case you go with the 4 labor codes, they are too much. The Bare Acts themselves will tell you that you cannot read them. So it's better to avoid them and focus on the basics of other subjects, so that rather than focusing on them and reducing your time to prepare other subjects, focus on the subjects in which you can secure. Because I believe that constitutional law, criminal law, contracts, including arbitration, international law, and jurisprudence, this will give you 60 question material, and 40 questions is going to 40 questions around will come from the case laws, and then 20 questions can either be from the case laws or from the static part. So for 5-6 questions, I don't believe you need to risk your 40-45 question material. So you need to choose your battles. You cannot fight
Selective
every battle.
studies.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What about environmental law?
Environment law, I don't think, ma'am, environment law, they have this time they asked very tough questions. The only thing they asked about environment law is related to with regard to how constitutional interpretations are there of environment law. So the recent landmark judgments by NGT or by the Supreme Court of India, I think that is more than sufficient. You may read about the acts when they were enacted, and they may ask some random questions also, like national water policy or something on these lines. But these are random questions for which you cannot ever prepare. Just Go to the last year question papers, learn those questions, and hope that they repeat. Because otherwise, if they are going to ask you a random question totally, you cannot prepare for a random question.
Okay, all
For
right.
example, this time they asked a random question of Juvenile Justice Act,
Yes.
when it was enacted. So people may know that it was 16 January. Some people may not know it because it's a random question. But there were judgments related to JJ Act this year. So I believe people knew the answer.
Yeah.
So that is why I think it goes both ways, that if you have a hold on judgments, basics, and certain bare acts, I think it's more than sufficient to secure endless bank.
So you need to be updated day to day.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, update is very important. Okay, so that leads to the next question. Like, what was your first impression when you got CLAT PG paper? Like, what was your set, and is there any strategy which you followed while like attempting the paper?
Ma'am, my experience, the first question that I got was from Income Tax Act. So after seeing the first question, I was shocked. That okay, ये कहाँ से आया? Uh, but later on, when I was attempting, so what I did was I left that question. I started from question number 2. So my strategy was simple, that just the answers which you are definitely sure, mark them. The answers where you are sure that it is out of the 2 options, keep it pending. And the answers which you don't know, leave it. So this was the option, and just keep a check on the questions. uh, Small tick or something on sort, if it's permissible, that in, or if it's not, you can just simply remember in your brain that okay, I have to come back to these questions. Because I don't think it takes 2 hours to answer the CLAT PG examination, because the passages are not extremely long. They are fairly long, but they're not very very long. So you can answer the entirety of 120 questions within 100 minutes. And then within 20 minutes, you can come back to the 5-10 questions that you initially did not answer. So try to answer as many as you can. The answers which you don't know, please don't attempt. Unless you want, after counting the number of attempts, you need to increase the number of attempts, because then it comes to chance. So then you have to take the chance, because if your attempt is coming lower than 100, you need to increase the attempts. So then you have to take informed guesses. Otherwise, in case your attempt is going to 105, 110, I don't think you need to increase the attempts further.
Okay. So, so students, whosoever is watching, in case whenever you are going to appear in CLAT PG, the first question or first 2 questions are from certain laws जो आपको नहीं आते हैं. That happened with Pratik as well. आते तो थे, but टेक्स्ट लॉ वाज द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन, जो कि काफी फेमिलियर नहीं था. तो उन्होंने वहां पे अपना कॉन्फिडेंस लूज नहीं किया, एंड ही स्टार्टेड फ्रॉम क्वेश्चन नंबर सेकंड. सो दिस शुड बी द स्ट्रैटेजी. अगर आपके आगे के 2 या 3 क्वेश्चंस भी ऐसे लॉ से होते हैं जो आपने नहीं पढ़े, दैट डज नॉट मेक कि आपका अच्छा रैंक नहीं आ सकता है. यू विल गेट अ गुड रैंक. जस्ट यू हैव टू बी कॉन्फिडेंट in that duration of the examination, right?
Yes, ma'am. Because in case you mess up your confidence, you're going to lose the question on the questions which you actually know. And also, I believe that one thing that everyone needs to be careful is when you mark it exactly the question which you are actually marking. Don't go up 1 or 2, because that sometimes happens,
Yes,
and that is going to be jeopardizing your entire examination.
yes. Silly things
So
happens. Like
yes, ma'am. So
few of the
yes,
aspirants I was interviewing, they said that they haven't read not in the question, whether the question was affirmative or negative.
yes, ma'am.
So these things happens in this exam hall, and these small things actually matters. And यहाँ पे when it comes to CLAT PG, your 0.25 marks or 0.50 marks are going to give you a different altogether, a different very far rank. So it matters. Okay. So have you used elimination method? Like uh, like 4 options में से आपको 2 आते थे तो आपने उन्हें eradicate कर दिया, and then have you did that in your exam?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I did in fact use it in approximately 5 to 10 questions, because there were certain questions which were extremely close. So, and especially when it comes to the name of Judas. So that is where, because I remember the question, one of the options was August Comte. So I eliminated him directly. Okay, though he is not coming here.
हो सकता है.
So, and then you need to think about the other thinker from which school and what line. So then you connect and then you use the elimination method. So you have to use elimination method, especially for the 5 to 10, because there are going to be at least 5 to 10 questions in which you are going to be sure about that, okay, these 2 are not the answer. 2 options one of which is the answer. So 10 questions in any exam, especially in 120 question paper, it is going to be there. You have to use it.
All right. Good to know that. And so here we come on the end of the interview. So any last question is any suggestions you want to give to the people who are appearing in 2023 CLAT PG examination, like from your end?
Ma'am, I believe because 2023 CLAT is going to be conducted this year only, so there is a very little time gap. So for these students, I believe the 2022 test series, if they can get, they should attempt that test series also and 2023 test series also, because they need not worry much, because the cases of in next 5 6 months, they are not going to be hundreds of important cases. So, and plus focus on the last 3 year question papers, 2022, 2021, 2022, these three. In case they focus on these three past year question papers, the test series, I believe they don't need to worry much, and simply basics. They need to clear about the 3 4 laws that I have stated: constitutional, jurisprudence, contracts, and criminal. So in case they are fine with this, I don't think it's going to be any issue.
All right, Prateek. Well, आपने जो चीजें बताई हैं, which are a little different from the other interviews, and I'm like sure that this is going to help the viewers a lot, and this is a good takeaway that आपको 2022 की टेस्ट सीरीज भी करना चाहिए और 2023 के लिए जो अब टेस्ट सीरीज आ रही हैं वो भी करना चाहिए because this time CLAT is going to be in December only. So
Yes, ma'am.
काफी कम टाइम है and जो भी स्ट्रैटेजीज प्रतीक ने बताई हैं दे आर वेरी बेसिक बट दे आर वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड दैट इज गोइंग टू हेल्प you in your preparation. So do follow that. And thank you, Prateek, for sparing your time and helping the others to
Thank you for
CLAT
inviting me, ma'am.
PG. Yeah. So thank you so much.